Welcome back. I'm glad you're here. So, we are doing our Philippians study, and so today we are in Philippians 1, verses 9 through 11. And it says, "And this I pray, that your love may abound yet more and more in knowledge and in all judgment, that ye may approve things that are excellent, and that ye may be sincere and without offense till the day of Christ, being filled with the fruits of righteousness, which are by Jesus Christ, unto the glory and praise of God." So, Paul is, like we talked about yesterday, he's writing this letter to the church of Philippians, and he's writing that to them from prison. And, he's encouraging them here he's praying for them. And in that prayer, it's encouraging the church in what they're doing. And we hear prayer requests all the time, whether it be for sickness or for a family that's lost a loved one. We hear a number of prayer requests, and we need those, and that's how we go to the Father for someone else. And here Paul is praying for the church, and he is praying for that their love may abound more and more. And he's praying that their love for Christ and their love for others would just continue to grow, and it would keep growing and increasing. And it's an unconditional love that's a biblical love. And he's encouraging them to grow that. And if Christian growth is our goal, then our love must be increasing. So our love for others and our love for Christ must continually be increasing. And Paul's encouraging them along with that strong knowledge of God and judgment and discernment, and a knowledge of God and God's Word with discernment makes clear judgment. So if we have all of these things in place, that we're continuing to grow in our relationship with God, and we're increasing that love of Him and of others, we're learning and we're continuing to grow, then we're going to be able to make clear judgments and discern things that may be right or wrong, and the things that we need to do. And he's praying here for the church and for their spiritual maturity and their spiritual growth. And like I said, we talk about different prayer requests all the time, but are we praying for the church and their spiritual maturity, their growth, and the increasing in our love for Christ and others? Are we praying for that spiritual maturity that we all need, that we need to continually be growing in? And so he's praying for them in this, and then that it produces the fruits of righteousness. And something that I had read, hadn't really thought about it, but it says a tree doesn't try to produce fruit, it just does. So when I think of now about that fruit tree doesn't have to just try to produce fruit, it just does, because it's got that strong root system that's rooted into the ground, and it's got everything that it needs coming up through those roots, into the tree, out through the branches, and it's got everything it needs to produce the fruit off of its branches. So when we're rooted in God's Word and we're continually growing in Him and growing in our relationship with Him, then we have everything we need to produce that righteous fruit. And the Bible tells us we will know them by their fruits. So when others look at us, do they see Jesus? Are we growing and bearing fruit so that others can come to know Christ, so that others can grow in their relationship with Him? That continuing growing and learning and developing in Him. And I think it's interesting because I keep thinking, Paul is writing this in prison. And with all of the hardships that he faced just for spreading the gospel and preaching the gospel. And, like we talked about yesterday, this church didn't run away from that. They weren't shying away from it. They were still supporting him in this ministry. So they're encouraging each other. They're encouraging Paul by the way that they're living their lives. And he's praying for them and encouraging them to continue to grow, continue to increase your love, that it may abound more and more, and that they would have that knowledge of him, and that they would share it with others. Grow the church, and then grow individually. So that's something we all can use a lot of. And I pray that you can get something out of that and take with you. And I will see you next time. Thanks, guys.